So, hey, accelerated investors, welcome back. This is Josh, and you're going to love this podcast episode. I'm going to be interviewing a good friend of mine, actually a guy I've known since 2007. His name is Gary Boomershine. Gary is actually the founder at realestateinvestor.com. So imagine that. He's the founder at realestateinvestor.com. He started the company in 2005, and Gary's done all kinds of real estate investing, wholesaling, rentals, apartments, flipping tons of properties, private lending. Today, his company has over 100 employees, and not only does he invest in his own deals, but he also has an amazing suite of tools that he works with lots of his high-level clients to deliver direct mail messages and automated follow-up sequences for residential real estate investors. You're going to love this interview because Gary and I talk about the pivot that's about to happen in the marketplace. There are so many things going on right now in our economy that we believe that you've got to get ready for this massive shift of wealth that's about to happen. This is going to be, in Gary's words, worse than the 2006, 2007, 2009 crash. So we're going to talk about what Gary calls the 3 Ps: protecting your assets, pivoting, and then profiting. And we spent a lot of time talking about what to do today to protect your real estate investing business. And secondly, how to pivot, specific things that Gary and I are doing to get liquid, have dry powder, have cash flowing assets so that you're ready when the market turns to have these opportunities to buy at massive discounts. So you're going to love this interview for Accelerated Investor with Gary Boomershine from realestateinvestor.com.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So Gary, hey man, welcome back. It's good to see you. Welcome to Accelerated Investor. How you doing?
Josh, I'm doing great, man. It's really great. I just think of people that I've known the longest in this business. Our paths have been incredibly parallel the entire way through. Got started in 2004. I know that you and Greg did about the same thing. I'm still super good friends with those guys. I'm actually going to see Jeff here in a couple weeks in Tulum. So yeah, man, this is going to be fun. This is a interesting time in real estate. This is the time that most of us OGs have been waiting for. The big market shift where massive transformations of wealth happen. So yeah, this should be a great call, and hopefully I can deliver great content to your loyal listeners.
Let's talk about that, Gary. So just 2 OGs talking, and I want my subscribers and members and listeners to understand, like Gary and I have known each other for a long time, spoke on a stage of ours like in 2008. I think that was the first time we did like a formal training together in Vegas. And we've been sharing ideas for a long, long time. So Gary has bought apartments, he's flipped homes, he's owned several consulting companies, marketing companies, etc. So, long story short, we've been kind of waiting for this market shift to happen, Gary. So describe what you think in your words. What do you think this market shift that is happening, this cycle that's been 12 years long, and what do you think is about to happen in 2021? Obviously, new president, a lot of things going on with COVID. A lot of eviction, foreclosure moratoriums are going to start to go away, which means that stuff will speed up. A lot of moving parts. So just tell me, big picture, how do you see it? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, so, just looking at the big picture and looking at history as a guide to the future, which is really what we do. I don't have any crystal ball, but real estate has been a 7-year cycle for nearly 100 years. It just happens almost to the day, by the way, the what they call the Shemitah. If we look at, and these 7-year cycles have never been natural supply and demand. They've actually always been a boogeyman event.
Yeah.
Is what I like to call it, something out of left field, because we have a fiat money system backed by nothing, right? The good faith and credit of the U.S. government and the banking system, right? So it's been a 7-year cycle for 100 years. We had 2001 and almost to the day, 2008. We had the oil embargo. We had the Iran-Contra scandal and all that stuff. So if we just look back, this is the longest cycle that we've had. It's gone on 7 years. And this is the shift. And so looking at historically what happens, we're going to probably see, there's no denying we're going to see an absolute tsunami of distressed properties coming our way. If you think of a tsunami, right, a lot of people go out to the beach and they're looking at the water going out and they're like, oh, look at all the fish, slopping on the sand. It's like, no, this is a time to get to higher ground. And I call it the 3 Ps. Right now, this is a market first is to protect, then to pivot, and then to profit. And I think there's going to be an incredible buying opportunity coming our way in distressed assets. That's going to also be in multifamily and commercial, and incredible opportunity. I also think that we're going to see a decrease in price, especially heavily on the more of the seaboards, right? In California, Florida, the center of the country is usually held up pretty strong.
Right.
So right now, I think this is an incredible opportunity for us real estate investors to get prepared for a massive opportunity for building long-term wealth. And so
when you say protect, Gary, is that what you're talking about? So protect meaning like get prepared. And when you say protect, are you thinking, I'm thinking about real logistically, like if you've got assets like an apartment or a flip that you're doing, like get them stabilized, get them occupied, get them sold now. It's a way to protect each of those assets. How do you see it? What's your sort of definition of protect in this environment?
Yeah, so I'll just tell you, like I'm in California. We actually have been unloading a lot. We're getting into a heavy cash position and raising a bunch of capital right now. I've gotten out of a lot of single family myself. In fact, we just sold our primary residence. We actually unloaded a long-term asset that we had in Maui, primarily because of the markets. Getting into a cash position, I'm doing a lot of lending right now, first position lending, and just preparing for the land grab. And that land grab that I see, I think there's going to be an opportunity to buy creatively. And that's not only single family, but also commercial. And if we just look back at all the market cycles, usually in that downturning market, there is a huge opportunity to get owner financing, taking over mortgages and distressed assets, especially burned out landlords, especially people like I'm marketing in 4 markets right now, and I'm already seeing the distressed assets popping up. Things like you and I have always been doing this, but I've always made multiple offers to a seller. I've always made a cash offer, and at the same time, a creative offer if they'd be flexible on payment terms. And over the last 4 or 5 years, it's mostly been cash buys. And I'm seeing a big shift right now where we're starting to pick up a lot more where owners are willing to let us take over the mortgage. I'm also getting owner financing in a couple hours right after this recording and call. I will be going out. I'm talking to a seller that has 4 acres and 2 really nice properties where I'm going to probably be picking them up for about $100,000 under market, $150,000 in cash, and 0 interest payments for probably the next 20 years.
Wow,
which I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that many of those buying opportunities. So that's the type of shifting and that I'm doing, working towards buying creatively and also starting to raise capital right now. This is a really good time if you have not raised capital. I think this is the time to start really learning how to do it. I always tell people when you're raising capital, you want to do 2 things. Number 1, you want to raise capital when you don't need it. Number 2 is you never have to ask for the money. And you never have to ask for the money if you do it right. And so I've been doing a lot of that, preparing for a land grab, man. I think that's going to come in probably realistically 6 to 12 to 18 months.
I agree. 100%.
Right now, a lot of us, I am still, because of the market, because people are still in this like tsunami coming, We're still seeing assets are overvalued. We're still seeing multiple offers in areas like California. So I'm doing a lot more virtual wholesaling right now, picking up a few deals with owner financing, and then just preparing for a massive buy.
Yeah, when I actually just this morning, Forbes magazine came out with 5 markets to watch for 2021. Cleveland, my hometown, my market was on there. And I think the general public is a little bit oblivious, Gary. I think I'd like to get your take on this. They're a little bit oblivious. They think, oh, the market's really good. And people tend to think like the market's really good. It's always going to stay that way. And you and I both know that's not the case. But right now in Cleveland, the inventory is down 40%. They actually gave specific numbers. Like 2 years ago, there were 9,000 properties on the market. A year before that, there were 9,000 on the market. Right now, there's only 5,000 on the market. So it's a true 40% reduction. And people think like, oh, the market's going crazy. There's multiple offers. Properties are selling sometimes in a day, but definitely within a week or two. But they don't know all of this excess, the evictions, the foreclosures that are building up, people that lost their businesses, people that were waiting on stimulus money. The good news about this potential downturn, not potential, but this downturn that's about to happen is it is a boogeyman event, right? It's because of COVID, but it doesn't have the problem with banking like it had 12 years ago. So banking and housing, actually, a lot of people think it's going to help us through this market because inventory is so tight. So what I heard you say is get liquid, lots of dry powder, short-term transactions for now, get your rentals occupied, cash flow those, get a lot of dry powder 6 to 18 months from now. A lot of things are going to be on sale. Lots and lots of people motivated, lots of potential owner financing, seller financing opportunities, and matching up that new option of seller financing, owner financing with dry powder that you're having sitting on the sidelines can allow a lot of us to go on a buying spree at a discount. So that's a big deal. That's a way to protect what you have now and then get prepared for the pivot. So Gary, that's kind of the pivot. Tell me a little bit more about what your thoughts are on the pivot on top of what I just described.
Yeah, so I am a little bit more of I'm a little bit more of a naysayer. I actually think a lot of people have basically been saying we're not going to have the systemic banking system that we had in 2008.
Okay.
I don't believe that. I actually think it's going to
tell me about that.
I think that we never fixed the systemic problem. We had $21 trillion before going into COVID. $21 trillion of debt by 2022. This is pre-COVID. By 2022, we couldn't even pay the interest on that debt. So now they're printing money in ways the money system is completely spun out of control. I actually think that we're going to see a bigger change on the banking system. And I think a lot of the money, there's going to be, the conventional money is going to at some point dry up from my perspective. You cannot go at zero interest or negative interest rates the way that they're doing. It doesn't work. So I think that there is a bigger banking system that's coming problem. And I think the people that are pivoting now that are recognizing that are going to do a lot better. A lot of people are still like, I've got a buddy that's got $1 billion of conventional money that he's personally guaranteeing, and he's still going as if business as usual. And I think right now, this is not the time to necessarily be in retail. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this is the time to be doing heavy rehabs. I think
I agree with that 100%.
Time to pivoting and protecting, managing cash flow, rebalancing the asset portfolio, and getting ready to buy, because a lot of the real estate investors are still thinking that they're going to have a lot of conventional funds. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's a much bigger systemic issue. The other thing, the stimulus package and the CARE Act and the PPE, that's been what's funding these business owners. When you have restaurants that are closed, right? Like California is closed up, and they're already talking about this going on until at least February. Some people are thinking it's going to go on until all of next year. There's a point in time where the music is going to stop. The music's going to stop, and people are going to be trying to run to their chairs. And so restaurant owners, that means all those businesses that can no longer pay their bills and pay their rent, those retail centers are going to go out of business, right, into foreclosure. Right. Not only that, all of those owners also have properties that they have to live in, and so their personal residences are going to go, belly up. I have a friend in Hollywood, and he's got a $5 million property. He was making like $300,000 a month, and that just dried up. So I think we're going to see a much bigger systemic problem than most people are recognizing. And those people that are adjusting right now, and like I said, balancing the assets, being very, very solid on being able to have operating capital. If you think of the game of Monopoly, and if you run out of cash, you can have all of the real estate on the board of Monopoly. But if you run out of cash flow, you're turning over your real estate and you're selling them at 10 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. So this is a time to be really managing and having the operating capital to run a business. So if you have a portfolio of real estate properties, I would be looking at what happens can you manage at 60 to 70% occupancy, or possibly even a little bit less. I would be very much balancing. I'd be, reducing cost and just, preparing for this kind of market opportunity, because there are going to be people that are prepared in 6 to 12 months that are going to be buying like crazy. And then you're going to have other real estate investors that are going to be like spending 2 years just trying to figure out how to make ends meet.
Right.
So,
are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast.
Yeah, no doubt, Garrett. And it's interesting, when we went through the last cycle of 2008, 9, and 10, and people saw property values going down, you and I both know, and we did this too, started buying at the bottom, started getting dry powder and getting ready to buy. The market's going to sling back, right? It could be another 3 year where things start to go down, down, down. But people made a lot of money in the downturn. We all made money. You and I and a lot of our friends made money in 08, 09, 2010. Weren't necessarily holding a lot of assets at that time, but you can still buy assets if you can get them at a discount and they cash flow right and you underwrite conservatively. You can still buy in the downturn and build your portfolio. You can still wholesale properties, turn properties, be transactional, make money that way, and be talking to investors about the right time to buy. But certainly guys that are now buying like stabilized apartment buildings at a 4.5 cap, thinking that value is still going to go up, they're insane, especially in super A-class luxury markets. And then same thing with those C and D class assets, because those super A-class assets that are in downtown urban cores, those are going to get slaughtered as people move out of the city. And then the C minus and D plus assets, where people are really working with that subsidized government community. Well, first of all, those subsidies, although they become more and more prevalent because of COVID, those people, again, when those subsidies run out, they're not paying their bills. They can barely pay their bills when the market was good. So I believe in, like you said, raising a lot of capital, getting as much owner financing, seller financing as you can, still buying at a discount, of course, buying at a discount, never paying retail, and sticking with that average Americana suburban B-class asset that everybody can afford. Because the long-term play is to still buy and hold, right? That's where I'm at. Still buy and hold. And so we got to have tenants that are still going to be able to pay their rent. They still have a place, to, husband and wife and kids, still got to, take care of the family, the nuclear family together. And they still need a place to stay. Is there going to be some more breakage there? Probably. But so far, that B-class asset is the asset class that has stood the test of COVID so far the best. I still think it's going to be the asset class that makes it through COVID the best, although there's going to be some more breakage. And so preparing now for that is so important. Instead of, oh my God, I can't find a rehab, so I'm going to pay 80, 90 cents on the dollar, hoping I can rehab it and sell it for a profit and hoping the market continues to go up. That music is about to stop, as you said. So that's kind of some of the things that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're completely aligned. So many people forget the history. They like, it's amazing how many people forget what it was like in 2006, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So let's go back to that just a little bit. There were people that were buying in the absolute euphoric market, which was 6 and 7. They were buying at a premium. I'm in California. There were people that were buying 7, 8, and 100,000 houses in Vallejo. That 18 months later, those $800,000 houses were worth 200,000.
Yeah.
So they were buying at the peak, right? Buying crazy. And then for the next 3 years, they were either completely wiped out or bankrupt or just trying to survive. The people that shifted in 2006 and 7, they were prepared, and the buying opportunity and the money that was made buying at the auction, right? Having the cash reserves, buying bank-owned REOs, buying distressed assets, both single family and multifamily, made an absolute fortune. So the market, the true money is made at the beginning of the cycle. It goes back to Warren Buffett. You buy low, sell high, right? The people that are buying right now and have not recognized where a shift is coming get absolutely wiped out. And that's, it's the lost opportunity cost. The opportunity is coming, and if you're not prepared, you're going to completely miss it. So that's why, I call it the three categories. There's cash now, there's cash flow, and there's cash later. And so many people are just looking at one bucket. Real estate is a finance game. It is about using leverage, right? Leverage of other people's money and other people's time and experience and resources. And people have too much of a myopic view. They're just focused on like wholesaling right now. That's cash now. That's a job. You want to be looking at this market as cash now is bringing in capital to, it's the energy and the friction. And I love wholesaling and easy money in and out and keep the books balanced. Cash flow is looking for those long-term assets, right? That we're going to get rental income. I love private lending. And then the cash later is how we become absolutely rich. And that's appreciation and being able to have properties that we hold. So yeah, I am also a buy and hold guy. I hate flipping. I out of all the properties, almost every property that I've ever sold, I regret. Right. Yeah, so, but we flip properties to keep the engine and the operating capital come in. So I just think this is the time to rebalance your portfolio, be prepared, learn how to raise money, learn how to buy deals that are creative, and take advantage of the shift that's coming. Those people that do that are going to be making an absolute fortune. The last thing I'm going to say, I also think we're going to see inflation at a level that we've never seen before. Which means we want to be in physical assets. I personally, I know I'm the naysayer, but I think that historically, let me go back. Over the last couple of years, 65% of 65% of America has been able to buy real estate. All right. Historically, that's been closer to 45%. If we look over the last 30, 40 years, so I think we're going to see a shift where the middle class is going to start to disappear. Those people that are in physical assets and own real estate are going to be the difference between the ruling class and the ruled class, from my perspective. So we're going to want to be in physical assets, owning apartments, owning first position mortgages, owning properties, because I could see a house that's $1 million in California being $15 million in 10 years. From my perspective, I think we're going to see properties, the inflation on properties that are going to skyrocket like we've never seen before coming in a couple years. So we see a decrease in value short term over the next 12 to 18 to 24 months, and appreciation on real estate in the United States skyrocketing.
It's an absolute beautiful thing when you can lock in a 30-year mortgage at today's rate, right? Whether it's residential or commercial, in the threes, even for large commercial. I mean, we just refinanced a huge building, $19 million loan in the low threes, like 3.14 for one building, 3.18. It's ridiculous. So you take that along with this. I agree with you. There's going to be this fluctuation in the short term, and then physical assets appreciate as inflation goes up. So that's the hedge. People talk about gold and silver, sure, commodities, sure. People are talking about crypto, which I still don't get. I'm not recommending that. But physical assets, gold, silver, physical assets typically followed inflation. But for sure, cash flowing real estate, because if you lock in that loan at 3%, you're basically borrowing money at zero because inflation is going to be at least 3%. But I agree with Gary. Inflation is going to be much higher than that over the next 3 to 5 to 7 years. You lock that in, your value is going up, your principal is still going down, and you're cash flowing. And if you need to do something in the middle to make cash now, wholesale properties, even commercial properties, wholesale properties to get them under contract. Maybe you're a commercial broker, maybe you're a realtor making some transactional income. You can do that in order to kind of get through and have cash injections into your business. But big flips, big rehabs, stay away from that stuff, guys, for the next couple years, and just buy stuff you can stabilize quickly and cash flow quickly. Now, Gary, I did want my audience to learn a little bit more about your companies. You guys have a suite of kind of tools to help people do these kind of things, get leads, evaluate leads, process leads, follow-up systems. It's incredible. I interviewed your partner, Robert, for the podcast a couple weeks ago. So as we kind of round third and head for home here in this interview, where can people learn more about you and about your companies and some of the tools that you guys offer?
Yeah. So I run realestateinvestor.com. We've been around a long, long time. We're the largest marketer in the real estate niche. I think we've mailed out over 70 million pieces of direct mail. I've got a large client base. We've got about 1,500 people using our product. We're really focused on helping real estate investors find deal flow. So I've got a team that does all the marketing for them. We've got the reason I merged with Robert Seifert is they had a data stacking list building software that was second to none, super needed for finding deals that you can skip trace, data stack, and then a CRM to do all the follow-up. And then I have a 100-person team that does all of the lead qualification and appointment setting. And super passionate about that. We've got about 100 people. We've been around a long time. And you can learn about us at realestateinvestor.com. And I've got, that would be the best place. We've got a podcast that's great. It's running a couple times a week. It's mostly for people in the single family market. Mm-hmm. I would say 70%, 80% of our client base are still focused on single family. A lot of wholesaling, and we also have a lot of real estate agents that are hybrid agents that are using us to compete with the iBuyer networks. So yeah, check us out if that's of interest, realestateinvestor.com or our realestateinvestor.com huddle podcast.
Nice. Great stuff, man. Yeah, even for my subscribers who are not yet made the pivot into commercial apartments and big multifamily, a lot of you are still building your portfolios to try to get to that $10 million number. My passion is in helping investors build a $10 million portfolio. And you can start with, duplexes and quads and 3 units at Gary's software that all still falls in that residential market and still falls within his software. So great tool that you can use to list, stack, market, almost a completely done for you service. Check it out at realestateinvestor.com. Gary, listen, it's always awesome, dude, just having you on, talking to you, whether it's on the cell phone, text, at a mastermind, or on this podcast, brother. So just appreciate you taking a few minutes out. I know you're like in the middle, literally, of moving your family from California. That's why you're doing this interview from the car. So I appreciate you carving out a few minutes for Accelerated Investor, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Great time. And love what you do for the industry, Josh. I love following all of your stuff. So look forward to seeing you personally again here soon.
You bet. Sounds good, Gary. Thanks for joining us today on Accelerated Investor. So guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Gary Boomershine, talking about the 3 Ps to prepare and protect, to pivot and then profit from the upcoming transfer of wealth. I love Gary's insight also regarding his opinions about what's going to happen with banking, what's going to happen with inflation, getting into hard assets, owning cash flowing properties, and talking about making cash now, cash flow, and cash later. Gary and I go back a long, long way, so I really respect his opinion. And of course, if you want more information about his tools, go to realestateinvestor.com to check that out. I wish I had bought that website in 2005, realestateinvestor.com. Gary's an amazing guy. Hope you enjoyed the interview. If you did, leave us a rating, leave us a review. Let us know how we did. Also, don't forget to join our Facebook group, Accelerated Investor. Go to Facebook, search Accelerated Investor, jump into our free Facebook group. There, you can interact directly with me and with my team in a real-time format, ask us questions, and we'll go from there. All right? Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Hey, Josh here, and do you want to win a free Accelerated Investor t-shirt? All you have to do is give Accelerated Investor, our podcast, Accelerated Investor, a rating and a review on iTunes, okay? Do that now. Then send us a screenshot on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. What we're going to do then is every week we're going to pick our favorite rating and review, and we're going to send that person a free t-shirt and maybe, again, some other cool, fun stuff as well from Accelerated Investors. So, again, don't forget to take a screenshot. Leave a rating, review, take a screenshot, send it to us so we know exactly who you are. And then once a week, every week on the podcast, we will announce a new winner. Don't forget to take a screenshot and send it to us so we know exactly who you are. We'll announce a new winner every week.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.